Hello and welcome to another Best Junglers episode, this one for patch 13.23, and as we head towards the end of Season 13, the changes are small but the reverberations in the meta are big. That means that they've nerfed Briar again, a third time in a row. They've nerfed Jarvan. They increased the local gold we get from split pushing inhibitor turrets as well as the inner turrets. What does that mean for the jungle meta when you take away dominators and give us more gold for split pushing? And so we will go over the best junglers for every single MMR as well as for low and high elo. And as always, applying your jungle principles to the champion you play is the most difficult thing, and for that we have Virkayu.gg. I have a free jungle improvement resource as well as a dedicated program where we have jungle video courses, jungle coaching VOD libraries, weekly free video content seen nowhere else, as well as Q&As and patch note rundowns, as well as a private jungle Discord. And if there's one thing I'm good at, it's converting junglers to gold, to emerald, to diamond, to master plus. If you want to climb faster than anyone you know, jungle div every game you play, click the link below or head to Virkayu.gg. And as we head towards the S tier page, starting us off is going to be the Briar, and as unshocked as we are about the fact that she's still here, Riot is probably completely shocked because they refuse to take an axe to the tree. First they're like, hey, can we maybe use this number 2 pencil to take it down? No. Then they're like, well, what if we use this ruler? Maybe this ruler will take the tree down. Sometimes you have to understand you're trying to cut down a Christmas tree and not break apart a piece of paper. So I understand the sort of iterative nerfs so you don't gut her too quickly, but sometimes when a champion is this powerful as she was on release, as we all knew it, you have to take a firm hand to the numbers. The W2 snack attack nerfs here with the missing HP, great, cool, but it's still too much damage. She still jumps on me and kills me within 2 seconds. The lethality builds are definitely weaker, but she's abusing the Strikebreaker, Black Cleaver, Sterix Gauge items. It's better if you just go ahead and chunk the numbers down, see where she lands, and add back. Because as it stands, the armor penetration on her Q still good, the damage she provides throughout her kit still very high, the healing still very high, the sustain and the knockback from the E still powerful and potent. You've got to find a way to change the numbers because it's a simple champion that dominates everybody. Basically, I am banning this or the Hecarim at this stage, because next up here we have a Nocturne who is of course still really damn good, but I feel like if you put him a little bit behind and you get in his face and just prevent an ultimate through a counter gank, you kind of keep the pressure up. Yes, he will eventually strike break you and eventually he will be able to take over games, but if you just never really give him time to breathe, give him those free things that he wants through invades and ganks, typically you can kind of handle the champion, and that starts with controlling your own jungle. No counter jungling, smart pathing, cut him off before he arrives at situations, and typically I feel like you can control him to a certain degree. Obviously, depending on your champion, once he locks in that beautiful Strikebreaker Black Cleaver item, you're basically going down. Unless, of course, you decide to match him with perhaps a Jax or a Skarner, and Evelyn even works here. There are counters you can use against him, but overall the champion still gives absolutely everything. Lethal tempo, invade, skirmishing, spell shields, chase ability, huge amounts of CC, and obviously that ultimate counts as CC, right? So your CC score is always abnormally high, and you can use it just to turn the lights out on the enemy team. When they engage on your team and you're splitting, even if you can't rotate, you press it, they can't see what they're doing, they back off, you get pressure. And this is absolutely huge for that bonus local gold on the inner turrets and a huge bonus local gold buff on the inhibitor turrets. So if you play Nocturne, go ahead and use everything in your kit because there's nothing that can stop you other than yourself. Next up we have Graves, and they nerfed his True Grit. Oh my, that was going to be a huge nerf, wasn't it? Yeah, the problem wasn't the True Grit. The True Grit issue was when you want to go invading early, you want to use that obnoxious E early, and obviously trading versus other meta junglers who happen to be doing AD damage to you. The problem is also just the fact that he abuses Ghostblade, plus the Collector itemization. He has a Stormrazor tech now as well when you add that third, but a simple Dirk and Noonquiver combo means he chunks everybody in a damage department and he outfarms them as well. One mistake and he's counter jungled your whole life. But mostly it's just the damage and the utility that the champion provides from Smokescreen and the raw burst and sustain damage that the kit offers. You gotta nerf the thing that makes him obnoxious, right? And that's the raw damage output when it doesn't really correspond to anybody else in the game. Especially considering he's ranged and he has obviously still nerfed True Grip, but he still has it, and you can't really run away from him. Following the Cigar, we have the Bug. And have you noticed the Bug kind of running around doing a lot more lately? That's because he is, because when you remove certain things like, say, the Jarvan, and you do nerf the Graves, these things do have an impact on the meta. They have an impact on the counters, what other junglers can do. There's always a trickle-down effect as soon as you nerf anything in the jungle because of how we play the game in terms of how we contest, how we farm, how we defend our camps, how we counter gank and gank, and Kha'Zix is one that does everything. Obviously, he also does a bit too much damage at the moment, but that's just one of those things that you accept. However, the slipperiness, the Edge of Night providing utility there in terms of engage, and of course the Agurum build that does exist, you have a champion that really can do everything in the current meta as we head towards Season 14. So basically, the best assassin in the game is this guy. Next up, we have Kane because the Airy technology is really taking over. For both forms, you can do it. Obviously, you can flex into your First Strike, your Dark Harvest, your Conqueror. There are people doing all kinds of runes and high elo, but basically the Airy allows you to get that form faster. The damage is really good over the course of a game. And while Ras is definitely, he doesn't feel like he's dominating as much as he has in the past, Blue Kane, despite all the nerfs, is still doing everything Blue Kane does. Yes, close to Kha'Zix in terms of best assassin in the game, but Kha'Zix doesn't have to become himself, after about 8 to 12 minutes. Sequencing, counter jungling, good fisting, strong form conversion, and obviously the ability to take over the game equals one of the best junglers. And Ras is obviously included in that when you can build whatever the hell you want on him. Hecarim is back on the S tier page, although he has kind of been there anyway. It's just the issue of people figuring out the build that they want to go, recognizing, hey, we should stop going Duskblade and we can go Ghostblade. Shojin's still Astro broken on us. Now everybody can die with the lethality Dirk spike. We have Shojin for rotational spells and a lot of uptime. The W is disgustingly broken because they buffed it for no particular reason. Again, just let the people figure it out before you buff it, but I don't know why they can never do that with Hecarim. I mean, I know they always take too long to figure it out, but still. Now that they have, here we go. Hecarim dominating because Hecarim can farm, Hecarim can counter jungle, and once you get itemization spikes, you can take over all mid-game skirmishes. So as long as the Hecarim player is ganking well, counter ganking well, making proactive moves, and being a strong force jungler on the map and not, AFKing, typically they will find a way to be in control of their own destiny. Much like Evelynn, who, while not having the best time in terms of every patch this season, is still the 1v9 Smurf champion. There's nothing wrong with her whatsoever. The only downside is people are picking up a little bit more the champions that can kind of do mathematically better into her, like a Shaker or a Hecarim, a Talon. These things into her typically have better win rates, but obviously I feel like if you're a good Evelynn, you have no issue navigating any of those matchups whatsoever. It's just a sort of mathematical edge. But other than that, you're full clearing, you're farming, you're playing around your level 6, you're snowballing really well. The issue is obviously closing games, but good itemization allows you to do that, and good presence allows you to do that, provided no one ever is able to teamfight, because you're always looking for those isolation picks. Use your counter jungling well, my friends, because early game junglers or anyone who ganks and leaves open camps, that's what you want to stack up. Maintaining that lead as an assassin is always the way forward to win games. And even though his win rate isn't that great, I love Viego at the moment. Well, I don't love facing it necessarily, but I'm coaching a lot of Viegos right now. Of course, remember, don't forget the Black Friday sale on all of the website, as well as seeing a lot of it in high elo. People are starting to build a bit more adaptively in terms of what game state they want to face. They're looking at the Kraken, the Trinity Force, the Black Cleaver. You've got good itemization. They're dropping away from the blade, which is great. We are seeing certain crit focus builds when necessary to amp up that missing percentage HP execute on the ultimate. He's really the jungler that defines being good at everything. And now we move on to the A tier page, and Fiddlesticks is always going to be here, even though Season 14 might look a little rough for him because they are going to be nerfing that Rocket Belt. Blast, because that item is definitely way too strong overall, as a regular item. As a mythic, it's okay, but you make it a legendary item and you keep the stats, no bueno. But if you're currently one-tricking Fiddle and looking to get to Diamond to Master, whatever it is, he's still great for this, guys. Nothing changes for you. Keep sucking, keep ulting, keep fisting. And then, of course, we have Taliyah. I love the win rate she has. I love that she's picking up in popularity a little bit. I love that people are recognizing, hey, with the Briars of the world and the Belveths of the world coming up and all of these dashes, I have the ultimate disengage kit, the anti-mobility kit. Your wave clear is great in losing game states. You can farm really quickly once you get a few points in queue. Basically just gives you total control over the game. But again, you have to be good mechanically. You have to understand the champion. And I'm really liking Belveth at the moment. She has come back, obviously, after the nerfs. That E buff, the cooldown buff, really did help after they removed the damage reduction percentage. That obviously scales up to 70%, but it starts at 40% now on the E. That means against your Taliyahs, be careful, obviously. But overall, in terms of aggressive snowball, regular gaming, her playstyle is maintained the same, and is obviously, like a lot of junglers here, tied to their itemization. Which is why we cannot wait for the rework coming in Season 14, but for now, Belveth and the Kraken Slayer Strikebreaker Dominator is ready to go. And this week, I'm actually going to go ahead and bring back the Echo. 2 weeks ago, I took him out, as a lot of you notice he's always there. That's because his win rate data is actually struggling. The play rate is down. But then I thought about it, and I played some. I studied some as well in the VODs. And while he is struggling against certain matchups, like your Brands and your Taliyahs, a skilled Echo won't really care about these things, and the win rate obviously doesn't represent the whole story. And I do think the champion is one of the best to play in the game for snowballing and for winning. You're not going to get banned out. Most people won't believe your damage once you get a little bit fed. You just have to have a smart early game, don't fall too far behind, start that snowball and ride it. Talking about snowballs and riding it, hopefully this guy has jumped off a little bit. Yes, he's been nerfed. Yes, the Q nerf has done more than I thought it would, but I said in my patch note rundown in the private Discord that I think it will stabilize around 49%. That seems to be the case at the moment. I could be wrong, I hope I'm not, but we'll see how it is at the end of the patch. Overall, for now, he's still serviceable, still solid, but his win rate has definitely been affected by this Q nerf, and we'll see how he goes going forward. Hopefully, this is the peak of what we're going to see from Jarvan, so he can trickle off the tier list as others kind of rise up and have better win rates. But for now, the play rate is still very high, and the flavor of the month players should start to fall off, but the champion is still solid. Much like Ivan, who is extremely solid with Daisy, really the play rate is super low, always will be, but if you're struggling to match up to certain meta junglers, and you're just struggling to find a way to play your champion, and you just want to shut them down and play Wincon, this is what you play. Yes, this is what you play. You learn the clears, you get really, really quick at them, you learn to maximize the downtime you have on the map between your sequences, especially after the first clear, cut them off, chew them down, make sure your ADC is absolutely juiced, control objectives, and just win every game. Now, I had Shaco here in the bottom of the list last time, but honestly, while he's still solid and serviceable, I'm not going to necessarily recommend him to anybody who's like, what should I play in the jungle? A lot of people who say, hey, I want to learn a farming jungler, I want to invest in OTP style, I'm going to give you Fiddle, and I'm going to give you Karthus. This is the one that you want to play if you are interested in a Challenger level account, Master Plus level account, and honestly, just refining your jungle senses to a high level. Get your clear mastered, get your sequencing mastered, pay attention with your first strike ultimates, and honestly, once you understand the tempo control you can have with these early sequences, you find it very easy to snowball these things if you're good. So go ahead and play this guy, or go ahead and play Lee Sin, but you know, my gut says, look, highest play rate in the game for jungling, definitely strong with Gold Drinker and these sorts of builds, but the win rate is always as it should be in the low 49% because he's very, very difficult to play. I feel like we can deal with them, and very few Lee Sins in most games are going to be good enough to dominate you. However, on the off chance you do get one, you think you're going to be sad. So do pay attention to Lee Sin, and if you play him, enjoy your free LP, if you're good at least. And finally, we jump on over to the low elo page. Brian, Nocturne, Ramus, Master, Yeetus, Lilia, Kane, Amumu, and of course the buffed troll Trundle. When you have AD growths and attack speed growths and mana costs go down and cooldowns go down, all of these things, then champions tend to do very well. So in Trundle's case, more Q spam is great for you, better amplification of your attack speed with your AD growth buff. These things all help you stat check a little better in low elo. So understand the split push into your turrets later on in the game for inner and inhibitor. This will give you a lot of gold if you're a little bit behind. So understanding where you disrupt, where you kind of snowball, where you split push, this makes a good Trundle player, but definitely one that allows you to stat check in low elo. Lilia, as always, great. You know, lots of HP around, lots of healing, really simple to use at the moment. And obviously, no one is surprised to see Ramus, who will simply counter all of these, most of them at least, with his inherent existence. Following this, we go to the high elo page, and you see the Lee Sin at the top because, based upon what I said earlier, skillful players exist in high elo, thus they can use Lee Sin and get the full power out of him. We just saw him at Worlds from Owner, so you can kind of see what's possible. Obviously, I said I love the Bel'Veth. You've obviously got things like Rengar, which are always good here, still doing very well at the moment. I love the Kindred. They are having a better presence in high elo, people realizing, okay, they're not really dead. You've taken away the Jarvan to a large degree. He's also fine, but honestly, why play this now when you can play other things that have a bit more skill expression, a bit more 1v9 capability, like your Talias, your Nidalees. Obviously, Kha'Zix and Necrom doing well here also. As always, high elo is filled with players who use whatever the hell they want, provided they're good enough on it, but these are the ones with some of the best presence, and the ones I'm seeing perform the best. So those are your best junglers for patch 13.23. I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget the Black Friday sale on Virkayu.gg, and if you're looking to become the absolute best monster jungler possible, click the video in the box on the top right.